All right, let's get started here. So like I said, welcome to today's episode of the Uplink. Super excited to have Jake and the team from ConnectedFresh here to talk a little bit about how they're keeping food and beverages safe for restaurants, wine cellars, and grocery stores by using small wireless and long-lasting IoT sensors running on the People's Network. So excited for this. My name's Jacob Swin. I'm the product marketing manager here at Helium. Quick agenda. I'll do a little spiel about Helium, just some info, talk about how Helium and ConnectedFresh started working together. And then I will hand the controls over to Jake and the team to do their intros and tell their story, show some demos. And at the end, we'll have some time for some Q&A. If you have questions during the presentation, please drop them in the chat. If we don't respond to them in the chat during the presentation, we'll be sure to take a note of them and cover them at the end. All right, so let's see about Helium. Helium was co-founded in 2013 by Sean Fanning and Amir Halim. And right now we're building the world's first decentralized wireless network to simplify connecting devices to the internet by rewarding anyone to become a network operator. And to be able to do that, we've been backed by some of the best VC firms in the world. So super grateful for VC firms like you see here, Costless Ventures, GV, Multicoin Capital, many different ones. But again, without their help, this wouldn't be possible. So we're extremely grateful to all of them. The Helium network itself is based on an incentive model. So anyone, anywhere is rewarded for both creating coverage and for using the network. And hosts earn HNT when they create coverage when their devices connect their hotspot, or when their devices use their hotspot to connect to the internet. So as you can see, that's happening right now. An affordable worldwide wireless network can be rapidly built and is being rapidly built. And so it's super exciting to watch this happen in real time. So why Helium? What are the benefits of using the Helium network? So it's, first of all, it's the largest contiguous wireless network in the world, which is really awesome to say. I think that used to say in the US, but we got to change that to world recently. So super exciting. Accelerated coverage. If you go to explorer.helium.com, you can find that on the helium.com website. You can see just the accelerated coverage. Like I'm saying, almost 260,000 hotspots are up and running right now. We've got those hotspots in over 22,000 cities and 144 countries around the world. So really cool to see that. And we also have rapid network growth with hundreds of thousands of hotspots on order and still coming online daily. So those numbers continue to go up. Again, you can check out those stats on explorer.helium.com. We also have a really diverse ecosystem that includes customers, network users, hardware makers, lots of different people providing solutions, making really cool things, using the People's Network for a lot of different really innovative solutions and lots of different stuff. And so it's really cool to see just all the different things happening on the network and how the network's being utilized. We have really low costs, especially when compared to technologies like cellular. For a sensor sending device every 5 minutes, the cost is about $1 per sensor per year. So much easier to stomach that cost than, say, really expensive other technologies. And then accessibility, the Helium network can be used with pretty much any compatible off-the-shelf LoRaWAN device. So that makes it easy to get started for pretty much anybody using the network. Like I said, we have a very diverse ecosystem of hardware makers. These are approved by the community through HIP-19. You can join the discussion about HIP-19 on our Discord channel. And you can, I'll show you the Discord link in a minute, but just some of those include Rack, Bobcat, Nebra, Synchrbit, more and more coming online or coming into play. And so we're thankful for them. Lots of different users. Again, like I talked about, our ecosystem, people like ConnectedFresh doing things like cold chain monitoring, protecting food. We have water monitoring, asset tracking, air quality monitoring, smart parking, smart education, so many different solutions being enabled by the People's Network. Really, really awesome to see all the different things that people are coming up with and using the Helium network for. So you can check that out on our ecosystem page on the Helium website. If you haven't started using the network yet and you want to get started, definitely check out Helium Console. This is basically where you onboard devices, start sending your data. The team has been working really hard to come up with more and more updates to make it more user-friendly, make it easier for people to get started and get that data flowing. So a couple of the latest updates, Console was updated earlier this summer with our new Flows workspace, which makes it really user-friendly, really intuitive. You can see the data, you can basically just see the data flowing from device through decoder to integration. You can, it's really easy to use. And the team did just release some configuration profiles a week or so ago, where it's easier to set things like alerts, that type of stuff. So if you haven't gotten started using Console, check it out at console.helium.com. And with all of that, just join the movement. If you haven't checked out any of the stuff yet, go to helium.com, browse the tabs, look at all the different stuff that we have, the different people using the network, the different solutions that are enabled. You can find us on GitHub. Our Twitter and Discord communities and followers are over 100,000 now. I think it's 102,000 on Twitter, 107 on Discord. That might be switched around, but check those out as well. Discord especially, a lot of great conversations in there, a lot of really good resources, both from like Helium team members and just community members who are really smart and have a lot of knowledge and can help people out if you have questions. If you have any specific questions, my email's there in the left-hand corner, jacob@helium.com. Mark Phillips is our Vice President of Biz Dev. So his email right there, mark@helium.com. He's a great resource as well. So again, check out helium.com, learn about the network. All right, a little background here, Helium and ConnectedFresh. So ConnectedFresh has been working with LoRaWAN technology since 2018, and they've been building on existing networks, deploying food and beverage solutions to customers. For the last year and a half, Jake and the team at ConnectedFresh have been utilizing the Helium network to elevate existing use cases and deploy additional impact-focused solutions to more customers. And by doing that, they've joined Helium as a trusted partner to deliver on and help build the network. So we're extremely grateful for users like ConnectedFresh helping us, like I said, build the network, come up with those solutions. And with that, I'm going to turn the controls over to Jake and let him cook for his presentation here.
Awesome. Thanks, Jacob. So let me share my screen here and we'll jump straight into it. Please do add comments in the chat, right? And if you have a Q&A, we'll be sure to get to them at the end here. So I'm going to put this screen up right now. One of the things I want to point out just before we get into it, there is a QR code at the bottom right here. If you do click onto that, or if you do take a picture of that, right, you'll be able to download one of our one-pagers, right? And then also you have the option of staying in contact with us if you want to down the line. And that'll also be on the last slide if you don't catch it right now. Just wanted to point it out. So thank you everyone for spending a couple minutes out of your busy days. We're excited to kind of show you ConnectedFresh. As Jacob mentioned, we have been working with Helium for at least a year and a half now, right? Not only working on getting our devices and being able to do real life deployments on Helium, right? But it's really allowed us to expand the types of use cases, right? Not having to have a gateway for every single deployment that we do, right? Has launched into additional types of use cases that were previously not able to be approached. So it's been a really great partnership, and we've been through the cycles together and helping to improve the product as they have been pushing out more releases. So it's been a great partnership so far. So what is ConnectedFresh, right? ConnectedFresh deploys IoT sensor solutions to reduce waste and improve data reliability. We're monitoring and automating data points that our customers care about so that they can then turn around and provide the best experience to their customers. As you guys probably saw when this invite went out, right, we're focused on food, especially for this webinar, right? So food and beverage is definitely one of our strong suits and one of our focuses, but we do serve other industries as well, right, with additional use cases. But for the purpose of this presentation and the demo afterwards, right, we'll be talking more specifically about food and beverage and temperature control and things like that. So if anyone has any questions about other use cases that we might not cover here, I'd be happy to schedule some time or answer any emails if anyone has any questions. So with that, I'll jump right into it. So fresh food is very fragile, right? We started off in the actual produce industry, right, with produce distribution centers for generations. And we understood that having each and every product handled safely through the cold chain is obviously very important, right? We also knew that this was temperature control and temperature logging, right, and everything like that really had an extremely manual process to it. And so the background of our team, most of the people on our team kind of came together at the very beginning from Deloitte Consulting, where we were helping to kickstart their IoT capabilities, right? And so we were all delivering IoT solutions from proof of concept through pilot through major deployments, right, for Fortune 100 companies, right, in the industrial space. So we knew this in and out, right, and we took a look at this problem and we we're like, wait, we can solve this with sensors, right? We started off with Wi-Fi related sensors. Those have their own benefits and limitations, right? Ultimately, we decided that LoRaWAN was the perfect solution as it was emerging more so in the US, right, to be able to support the use cases that we wanted to provide in a produce distribution center, right, and then started expanding to grocery, restaurants, etc. So here, wanted to point out a couple of things, right? A cooler being switched off, right, can lead to critical temperature fluctuation over time, right? So just because you leave the evening before and something's at a certain temperature, right, doesn't mean that it's going to be the same temperature when you come back in the morning, right? If anything's happened to that cooler, if the power went out, things like that, right? You want to be able to be alerted when you're not even there, in addition to being able to take regular temperature logs that are the norm of the industry. A few degrees of this environmental change, right? Not only talking about the coolers, right, but the actual product itself. It has an impact to not only the freshness of the product and the shelf life, right, but also the safety of it, right? If you have chicken that's being stored at the wrong temperature, raw chicken, just because it's cold when you left and cold when you came back, right, doesn't mean that nothing happened in between, right? So being able to take reliable and accurate logs throughout time, right, is crucial. And then finally, a lot of our customers are major corporations, right, that have distribution channels not only in the U.S. but globally, right? And so being able to monitor facilities that are in many different locations, right, or even regionally, right, requires or ConnectedFresh solutions enable us to be able to view this data in real time across the enterprise without having to actually go there, right, or have the management report up. So I'm going to kind of go through a little bit more. So with technology improvements, right, there are the food safety and loss can be realized in addition to some of the operations enhancements and efficiencies that come with that I just mentioned. So food poisoning, right, and food control, being able to have these at a safe and operable temperatures, right, is crucial. You can see the CDC statistics here, right? And then there's also the amount of waste that we're trying to target, right? If food goes bad, if food is not fresh for as long as it could be, right, a lot of that food ends up going in the garbage, and we're trying to also have an impact in that as well. So some of the challenges that come along with the cold chain, right? You have the oversight of centralized operations, right? That's what I was mentioning before, of dispersed facilities, but still wanting to maintain an overview of them from a single location. You have the risk to the brand productivity or revenue, right? Due to any loss of the product, right? That could be a safety incident, right? That could be, hey, we just had to throw things away, right? But that risk element to it is very much a real problem in the industry. The response times to some temperature fluctuation, if you're having someone take temperature logs every 2 hours, right, which is somewhat frequent, right, in this industry, you're still not really getting the fidelity that you could be, right? If you figure it out, if you notice it 2 hours later, right, I mean, sometimes that's too late. The manual tracking aspect of it, right? It really just doesn't have to be there at the end of the day, right? This is one of the things that that Helium, the global LoRaWAN community, right, the IoT connected devices, this is what we're trying to help with, right? We're not trying to replace jobs, right? You're not replacing an employee just because you're offsetting this temperature logging, right? But what you are doing is you're allowing people to focus on the things that they should be focusing on to ultimately serve the customer and provide them with a better experience at the end of the day, right? So if we can automate some of these critical functions that need to be done from a compliance perspective and an oversight perspective, right? Then we can enable people to be focusing on the things that matter most to them. So the ConnectedFresh platform, right, when it comes to what are we actually delivering, right, we're taking sensor data and automating the log process. But in addition to that, right, we're providing real-time enterprise and store level dashboards, right? These alerts and notifications are based on thresholds. They're based on escalation paths, right? If something is a critical alarm, right, that might send to more people and more methods of communication than a warning or a minor alarm, right? And so some of those methods, including email, text message, phone call, all built straight in, right? You have the ability to enable other platforms like Slack, Teams, Google Chat, right? Other messaging platforms, and really we're in it to keep growing those integrations as well. The automated history of these temperature records is also crucial, right? We're able to be backing all this information up so that it's not just on a clipboard written in with a pen, right? That doesn't really help you much. It doesn't allow you to see any trends. It doesn't allow you to really take hold of your data in the past and be able to do something with it. So one of the crucial things that we're doing, right, is we're automating the digital collection of those records so that you can see them from wherever you want at any time. And at the end of the day, this is something that is absolutely crucial to us. Easy installation, right? Scalability, support for integrations, and then the customer support element at the end of the day. That easy installation, we'll go into that a little bit later, right? But essentially when our customers receive a package from ConnectedFresh, right? If they're deploying to many stores, right? That individual store, everything will be pre-configured, pre-labeled, ready to go out of the box, right? All they have to do is turn it on, right? If it's Helium, right, it's already connected. If it's a private network gateway, right, all they have to do is plug in the gateway and they're good to go. And then this is also showing, right, that universal view. We have the ability to manage stores remotely, right, and identify issues before they actually become a problem at the end of the day. All right, so many people in this webinar will probably be familiar with this, right? But for those of you who are not, wanted to kind of outline some of the flow of how things work, right? First off, all data that does flow through not only the sensor all the way through networking, if that's Helium, right, all the way through the dashboards and then the ConnectedFresh platforms. Everything is encrypted at each segment of the journey and at rest as well. So the sensor, right, here's an example of one of the temperature sensors that we use, right? That sensor collects the actual data. It goes to a gateway, right? In the world of Helium, when we are able to get a signal from Helium, right? Because sometimes our deployments are inside of a restaurant, in the very back, inside of a cooler, which is a big metal box, which is not any radio frequency's friend, right? Sometimes we aren't able to get a signal from just the public network outside, right? So we do have to add our own gateways. But if we don't, right, we can connect directly to Helium. From there, it goes to the ConnectedFresh platform, right, where it's receiving the data, it's validating, it's processing the data for delivery to the platform. And then that platform, right, is showing the data in real time. It's accessible 24/7 from any device, right, just from a URL that can be white labeled also for that customer. And then the alerts and notifications, right? Anywhere you are, that's where you want to be notified, right? One of our big things is that our dashboards are extremely useful in finding and locating information and seeing historical trends and things like that. But at the end of the day, you really just need to tell me when I need to be notified. Tell me when I need to act on something, right? And that's where the notifications and the alerts are absolutely critical to everything that we do. So some of the benefits that are realized from our customers, right? We act as a managed service across the entire thing, right? From procuring the devices, we'll work with our customers to understand exactly what their needs are. Procure the devices, we'll pre-configure everything, label everything, like I mentioned, right? We'll send it out. They'll be able to install it very, very easily and quickly. And then from there, we're managing that service, right? You don't need to have someone who's in charge of this new program just to be able to enable this functionality, right? You're using ConnectedFresh to be your trusted partner and be able to showcase and support you, showcase the data and support you across anything, right? So if a device goes down, if something's running out of battery, right, we'll send a new device. We'll look into things remotely, right? It really is a managed service so that you don't have to worry about being experts in the actual hardware and the software itself to be able to keep things running. Like I mentioned, we have pre-configured on and go installation. This is on and go is similar to plug and play, but we're talking about wireless sensors, so can't really plug it in, right? Digital data collection, right? We're able to not only show it on our dashboards, right? Not only that, but customers can also go into the dashboard and download their data, right, to an Excel, for example, right, and be able to showcase it and manipulate it to be able to show it to other people within the organization that might not have access. But also we can create that pipeline to another database that enterprise might have, right? So you're able to not only see it in the ConnectedFresh platform, but also take that data and be able to ingest it and be able to show it alongside other pieces of data in the enterprise, right? Whether it's Tableau, maybe it's Power BI, any number of platforms that can support that. And that goes into the custom integrations, right? We have the ability to also, if you have a maintenance work order system, for example, right, we can generate a ticket in that if something goes out of range, right? Or if something has a certain fault, right? So that we can start that process and it can flow through our customer systems. And then additionally, I mentioned before, we're talking about temperature for a lot of the stuff that we're talking about today. But at the end of the day, so many different types of sensors that there are, right? The community of hardware manufacturers and distributors has grown quite significantly since we started talking about LoRaWAN, right? And so that's really great to see, right? But it also allows us to really quickly and easily generate new use cases, right? And add that additional logic and rules to be able to deliver use cases to our customers. And then some of the other benefits, right? We're looking at reduction in time when it comes to taking manual logs, right? Potential lower costs for maintenance. If you have an inspection, right, you're able to show that you have these temperature logs. We've heard from a lot of our customers actually that they've had inspections with ConnectedFresh implemented into their facility. And they show the health department that they're doing this, right? And the health department is blown away that they have this already done, right? It shows that they're proactive, it's trustworthy, right? You're able to show it over time, not just in the moment, and show, hey, we're not just, it's not just dumb luck that you came in and the temperature is correct, right? No, we have a facility that is top notch, right? And we're making sure that everything is done correctly all throughout the day. That increased transparency goes along with that, right? And then finally, we have automated alerts to the right people at the right time. That's the most critical thing that we do, right? Is make sure that people are notified the way that they should be at the right time. All right, so with that, if anyone has any questions, please do put them in the chat. We'll look at them towards the end of this, right after the demo. But we'll jump into a demo in just a moment here. Wanted to provide some of my contact information here on the right-hand side, and then that QR code on the left-hand side is the same one from the beginning if you guys want to stay in contact and or download one of our one-pagers. All right. So with that, I will switch over to the actual demo because we can talk about this all day, but at the end of the day, you really want to see what it looks like, what it feels like, what the experience is. So here I'm going to log into the platform. we're kind of taking the persona as a facilities or a QA manager, right? Someone who oversees many or all locations, and at the end of the day ensures food safety and overall product quality for a certain enterprise. For this one, it'll be a fictitious coffee chain, right? But you can obviously see how this could be for any type of facility, right? A food manufacturing facility, a produce distribution center, a grocery chain, or a grocery store, right? All the way through a restaurant enterprise with hundreds of restaurants, right? So as we log in here, we'll be greeted with kind of our overview dashboard, right? What this is showing us is it's allowing us to see everything in one place, right? Of course, that we're not relying on the customer putting this up on a TV and having it in front of them all day, right? For that, right, we're relying on the notifications and the alerts to keep things going. But right, when they log in, they're able to see across the enterprise, right? That's that enterprise view versus the store view, which would come a little lower down if we're looking at a hierarchy view of an enterprise. So here, right, we can see some quick metrics about how many critical alarms, major alarms there are going on here, right? We can see our alarms and the history associated. And then we can see all of our locations, right? If I zoom into this map, I can start seeing, I'm based in New York here, so I'm going to go into selfishly to my location over here in East Village. I'm able to click onto that, see more information, right? You can see that there's 5 warnings at this location, right? This is, again, just a demo, right? But it is actual real flowing data, right? This isn't mocked up data just so that you guys can see a pretty demo that looks nice, right? But doesn't actually function properly. This is real live streaming data in real time. So here, right, we'll dive into, we can either click here, right? We can click over here to one of our locations. I'm going to click here to dive into that location. For that location, we're able to showcase the store information, right? With the ability to dive into devices, alarms, users, right? And all the preferences that might be associated with each one of those, right? Here you can see that there's a gateway status that says a check mark, right? If that location is running off of Helium, right, then the status shows as such, right? Because there's no single gateway usually that you're dealing with if you're working with Helium, which is a massive benefit to us when we can use it. Here we'll jump into so we can view the devices, the alarms, right? I'm going to jump into viewing the devices that are associated with this one, right? We can see that we have 6 devices connected to this location, right? We can see when it was last connected. We can see a whole lot of information about these. If I want to go into a different location, right, all I have to do is click on it, right? And we can see, okay, here's a Santa Monica location based in California, right? And here are the devices associated with that one. And then we can change the alert thresholds, right? The notification thresholds here. We can change our users, right? View details over time, right? If I click into any one of these, right? I clicked on the wrong thing. If I click on to the view details, right, we can see alarms that are going on that device, right? This is a device that's right next to me in my hand right here, right? And so we can see that there was a critical warning, right? It's now cleared. Now there's a warning level, right? And this talks about the severity and the escalation paths, right? So depending on where that individual those thresholds were set, right? We can make an assumption from there and then be able to showcase the alarms as such. So I'm going to go back one page, right? We're back on the locations. Jump into the alarms to show you guys a little bit about that, right? Here you can see all of your alarms over time, right? And be able to from anywhere in here, right? You're able to change this to, if I wanted it to be 7 days or last 30 days or January 5th through February 8th, right? Like you can show all that, right? And then of course export your data as much as you want, right? And here we have an example here of CSV, Excel, that kind of thing. All right, so I'm going to go back here a final time, and I'm actually going to jump into that store's dashboard, right? Because this is information about the store, but it's not necessarily the real time, hey, what are the actual values going on, right? So I'm going to jump into that one. Here you can see this location is loading up. This purple one at the top is the device I have next to me, which is in my room, which this room runs a little warm. So you can see it's about 75 to 80 sometimes in here. I'm going to take that one off. As you can see, right, everything is very much flexible, right? If I want to change this to every 5 days, right, I can change that. If I want to dive into this specific section, I can do that as well, right? And then you have all of your information that you really need, the information about the devices, if the notifications are enabled, disabled, if the device is offline, as you can see here, this GPS is turned off right now. All this information is meant to be able to show you without you having to dive, but it'll also allow you to dive in and out of as far as you want to go into your facility, right? This view right here is more representative of a manager of a specific store or a facilities manager of an individual location, right? We were talking before about the enterprise level where you can see many different locations, right? And then this would be, okay, you have this store individual level, right? Which allows you to just see what you need. So while if you sit at the enterprise level, you can dive down, right? But if you're on the store level and you log in and you see this, right, because you're part of this East Village store, you're not able to actually go and see all the other stores, right? You're seeing what you need to be able to see. All the role-based access control is there. And it's really ready to be able to scale across an enterprise so that people are seeing the most relevant information to them, right? For simplicity of this demo, we talk about enterprise and we talk about store levels, right? But there could be many levels in between depending on how the organization is structured. So with that, that was most of what we wanted to show. I want to show a quick update. I can also show an example of one of the alerts, right? Of course, out of the box, we do text message, phone call, email, right? And users can select their own preferences of how they want to be notified, depending on the escalation paths as well. And then here's just an example of one of the ones that we actually saw a couple of minutes ago at East Village, this PR NCAP fridge. We can see, hey, this is what it was. Here's your high, here's your low, and then we have a whole lot of information about assisting our customers if they need to get anything reset as well. So with that, that is what we really wanted to be able to show today. Would love to kind of turn it back to the community and see if anyone had any questions that we can answer here.
Awesome. Thanks, Jake. Yeah, there were a couple questions in the chat. I had a few too. I know that this was more focused on like the food safety stuff and things like that, but can you provide even just a few teasers kind of what else you guys do, or even what you plan on doing in the future, maybe a little bit, some things coming up?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're talking here about food and beverage, right? That's really where our bread and butter is, right? Of where we focus. There are a ton of other applications within, and like if you talk about an individual restaurant, right? We can talk about leak detection, door open or close, right? The use case around door open close could be, did I receive my 5 a.m. delivery, right? Did that come in on time, or am I going to have to come in at 6 just to make sure that my food's there, right? That's one for one of our clients now, and it's saved that their store managers love it, right? Because they can rely on something that shows them that type of information. You can tell if a mouse is in a mouse trap. You can tell if, I think I mentioned water leak, people counters, right? Customer satisfaction, is a trash can full? Ton of use cases here, right? I know a lot of people who are probably familiar with Helium and have had, and familiar with devices, right? They can understand, they see a lot of these already, right? But being able to take them to these individual industries and really be able to make a very purposeful use case out of it for end to end, right? And the service, the managed service element of it is really what at the core of what we do. When it comes to outdoor use cases, right? Because that's what Helium thrives on. Well, we've started doing mobile trucking, right? And not only in an individual city, right? Like I'm in Manhattan, right? We have some trucks that have GPSs, right? And temperature sensors. I'm gonna show you one. This is a super thin one, right? I don't know, it's blurry, but you can just pop this onto the side of a package, right? And get the temperature control over that, right? And if it's outdoors, right? Or if it's across the country even, right? We're able to support that, including, hey, if we miss some values, right, queue down to it via downlink and pull those records so that we have a more complete picture of that, that route, that shipment.
Awesome. Very cool. Let me jump in the chat here. Someone asks, can you, like if temp moves out of like a quote unquote good range, can your sensor store info and then transmit that when there is a connection?
Yeah, and that's what I was just alluding to. That's a huge requirement, right? Because understanding, okay, if your gateway goes down because the internet was disrupted or the power went out, right? First of all, you're going to want a notification for that, right? So we do send those, but you're also going to want those records at the end of the day, right? Because it's not being captured, or if it's in the back of a moving vehicle, right? And maybe there's just too much interference and you don't get that information. But when that load is unloaded, right, are you going to be able to get everything that came before that? The short answer is yes. I do want to clarify that we do not manufacture our own devices. We use off-the-shelf products, but we strategically work with vendors that do support those types of capabilities, right? So we do have the ability to automatically downlink and pull the information that is missing and then receive that back up to again, more complete that picture.
Gotcha. Let me see. Someone else was wondering about API access to the data. Is that provided?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We not only can we provide data in those types of fashions, right, but we also have the ability to kind of segment the data, right? So for particular customers, if they want to save it to their own database within their company structure, we have the ability to do that extremely easily, right? And our team is not only networking, right, but experts in the area of real-time data and being able to send things to multiple locations and integrations, right? We all come from a system integration background, so that's at the core of what we do as well.
Gotcha. What about, someone had a question about pricing model. I know that might be something they can contact you specifically about, but is there kind of like a high-level overview you can provide for that?
Sure, yeah. So the way that we structure our pricing, right, is by device per month, right? And then customers we try to be as very straightforward and easy to work with pricing, right? We don't want all these confusing packages and like, if I do this, then I get this, but I don't get that, right? We are very straightforward. We are not a per seat license, right? It's really just, how many sensors do you have? How much is that per month, right? And then of course, if you have quantity, right, that the price goes down. I'd encourage anyone who's more specifically wants to talk about their use case, right, and what they're trying to provide, feel free to reach out and we'll be happy to work with you.
Perfect. I had a question about an app like for iPhone or Android. Is that in the works, something you're thinking about?
It is, call it in the works, but I want to reiterate our entire platform is responsive and mobile friendly, right? So everything can be accessed from any device. It may not be a native application itself, right? But it will be, you can click on the link, right? And it would take you to a mobile friendly version of your dashboards, right? And being able to show you, right? Because there's a ton of different data points, right? Not all of that is going to look great on a mobile phone. So we have a little bit of a different experience for that to make sure that people on their phone are getting the best user experience as well.
Great. Let's see, James asked, how long is the history of data stored? Like if you wanted to look back at history for more than a year to look at trends for long periods of time?
Yeah, absolutely. As a default, we save customer data for multiple years. So with individual customers, we can change that depending on the contract, right? Change how long we keep it, the data retention policies. But as a standard, it's years and years, right? Not a couple months.
Got it. I had one other question from my end. Just, can you talk a little bit, like, in the part I talked about earlier, how, Helium and ConnectedFresh started working together, like what specifically brought you to Helium? What kind of stood out about Helium to you that made you say, okay, we want to give Helium a shot?
Yeah, so when we started working with Helium, a lot of the applications that we use it for now, right, being outdoor types of use cases, those didn't really exist in our portfolio because we couldn't execute on them, right? So that only came after we started working with Helium, and we knew that we wanted to start offering those types of use cases. But honestly, the thing that drew us in at the very beginning was we were looking for someone from a networking perspective to provide us a user experience, a very easy to use, easy to load up sensors, easy to be able to integrate to our platform, right, and things like that. And Helium, the front end, the user experience was top notch, right? And it's only gotten better from there. So we really like doing that. And then as we met the team and started, hey, there's a bug here or there, and start talking with the team about it and seeing that, hey, these things are getting fixed, right? And we like working with these people. And I mean, I can't speak highly enough of the Helium team. I mean, it's been an awesome experience being able to get to know people very personally. Everyone that's worked there has been really top notch from our standpoint.
Awesome. That's great to hear.
Yeah.
I had one other one about possibly integrating like barcode reading so customers can track particular foods, like scan specific pallets and things like that.
Yeah, so we do have some applications and capabilities when it comes to multi pallet tracking, right? So that you're not just tracking, for example, a truck in transit, you're tracking an actual pallet, right? And that's actually a really good example of these tags that I have here. It's blurred out because of the background, but essentially it's a sticker, right? You peel it off, you put it on to the pallet, right? And then you have pallet level tracking as well. So we do have solutions around that. If anyone wants to talk about that in more detail, please do reach out.
Perfect. All right. Well, we're about out of time here, but if people have, I see there a couple questions that I didn't necessarily get to, so they can send you an email, right, Jake, and reach out to you if they have some very specific questions.
Yeah, totally. We you go to connectedfresh.com. You can schedule a demo or a conversation there. You can reach out to us by other means, and then I also had my information in the chat. So, and I can post it here in the message here as well.
Perfect. Yes, and this will go up on YouTube as well. So if people want to go back and look, this will be up on our YouTube channel probably in the next 24 hours or so. So perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. One more time, here's some contacts for getting in touch with Helium and our social media emails. And I want to thank Jake and the ConnectedFresh team for coming on the Uplink today. That was really cool to hear.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone.
All right.
Have a great rest of your week.